The military cafeteria was its usual mix of noise and chaos, metal trays clattering, boots scraping against concrete, and bursts of laughter echoing through the air. It was the one place on base where ranks blurred, and soldiers could breathe like humans for a few minutes. At a corner table, a group of Navy SEALs had gathered, loud, confident, and competitive as ever. They were in the middle of swapping stories about near-death missions when the door opened. Heads turned. She walked in quietly, tray in hand, her posture calm but razor straight. She wore the same fatigues as everyone else, no visible insignia on her chest, no patches to tell her story. But something about her, perhaps the way she moved, or the quiet control in her eyes, made even the chatter lower a notch. One of the SEALs, the kind who never missed a chance to test a newcomer, leaned back in his chair and called out, "Hey, soldier. You look too serious for lunch. What's your rank?" The others chuckled. It was harmless banter, the kind that rolled through the base every day. She glanced up, eyes steady, a faint smile touching her lips. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," she said simply, setting her tray down at a nearby table. The SEALs exchanged amused looks. "Oh, really?" the same one said, grinning. "Try us. We've seen it all. Privates pretending to be generals, cooks claiming to be CIA." She met his eyes and spoke evenly, her tone casual but carrying the kind of authority that could cut through a briefing room. "Vice Admiral." The laughter stopped. Forks froze mid-air. Even the hum of conversation from the other tables seemed to quiet. The SEAL blinked. "Vice Admiral," he repeated, as if trying to decide whether she was joking. She nodded once, not breaking eye contact. Then, with unhurried precision, she reached into her pocket, pulled out her ID card, and slid it across the table. The silver holographic seal of the Navy Command shimmered under the fluorescent light. The room fell utterly silent. The SEAL's grin vanished. He stared at the card, then at her, realization dawning, embarrassment creeping into his posture. Around them, soldiers were turning their heads, whispering, "Vice Admiral." And, "You're kidding." She picked up her tray again and gave a small, easy smile. "Don't worry, Chief," she said, her voice softer now. "You're not the first to ask." Then she walked to a corner seat, sitting down with quiet dignity, as though nothing had happened. The SEAL leaned back slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. "Well," he muttered to his teammates, "I just asked for her rank. Didn't expect to trigger a full system reboot." Laughter rippled again through the room, but this time, it carried a new kind of respect. From that day on, nobody asked her for her rank twice. The next morning, the same SEALs sat in the briefing room, waiting for their training assignment. The air was tense, each man restless, whispering about what had happened in the cafeteria the day before. She said, "Vice Admiral, right?" One finally muttered, "Like, actual command rank." "Man, I checked," another whispered, eyes wide. "There's only one female Vice Admiral assigned to this region. Name's Sinclair, former combat pilot, 2 silver stars, classified operations background." He lowered his voice. "And get this, she's the one who restructured Special Ops Command 3 years ago." The room went still again. Before anyone could say more, the door opened. Boots clicked against the floor. She stepped in, Vice Admiral Sinclair herself, same quiet grace, same unreadable calm. Only now, she wore her full uniform, the stars gleaming on her collar. The SEAL who had joked yesterday instantly straightened up, the color draining from his face. "Good morning, gentlemen," she said, her voice firm but even. "Today's joint exercise will test coordination between Navy SEAL teams and command operations." No one dared interrupt. She continued, moving closer to the projector screen. "Your mission parameters will simulate hostage recovery under live fire pressure. Coordination, timing, and chain of command will determine success." Then, her gaze flicked toward the SEAL who had asked her that infamous question. "In respect." A faint smile touched her lips, not mocking, just measured. The room erupted into subtle grins. The SEAL cleared his throat, his pride battling his shame. "Ma'am, about yesterday." She held up a hand gently. "Don't apologize, Chief. You were testing confidence. It's what good operators do." She paused, letting the silence work. "But remember, rank doesn't just sit on the shoulder. It's earned, every day, in silence, when no one's watching." The lesson hit harder than any reprimand. For the next hour, she briefed the team with surgical precision, knowledge of tactics so sharp it felt impossible she wasn't one of them. She described infiltration angles, air cover timing, even escape vectors with the fluency of someone who had lived it. When the briefing ended, she walked out, her stride smooth and confident. The SEALs sat in stunned silence for a few seconds before one finally exhaled. "She's not just a vice admiral," one said quietly. "She's the Sinclair, the pilot who went down behind enemy lines and walked out with a hostage convoy." The same SEAL who'd teased her nodded slowly, his earlier arrogance gone. "She didn't need to prove anything," he said. "We just weren't smart enough to see it." Outside the window, they watched her cross the courtyard, salutes following her from every direction, her name spreading through the base like a quiet legend. By lunch, no one sat at her table uninvited. But every soldier in that cafeteria stood a little taller, spoke a little softer, and remembered that sometimes, the quietest person in the room carries the loudest history.